you're willing, there's something in your life right now, everybody has that's pressing in their life. If you're willing to make that one decision today, don't worry about 3 weeks, 3 months, 3 years from now. Life will reveal to you what comes next if you're willing to make that one pressing decision in your life today, and everybody has one.
Hello and welcome to the Unlock Lab. I could not be more excited for the conversation you are about to hear right now. This episode is called One Decision Away, and it's an interview with David Atkins. He is a former state police officer. He is a businessman, and he is a inspirational speaker. And let me tell you, you are going to hear it today. So if you are not sure how to get unstuck, if you are not sure how to reach those goals that you have, tune in because you are one decision away from changing your life. Before we get into today's episode, if you're new to the podcast, The Unlock Lab, welcome. I'm your host, Tosca DiMatteo, and I do the work to help people get unstuck in their job and their career. And I help audiences feel inspired to make shifts within their days to find more fulfillment and to find more ease. If you want to learn more about the work I do, visit CoachTosca.com. That's Coach TOSCA.com. David and I met at a National Speaker Association meeting, and he is the kind of guy that when you meet, you just feel this vibrancy, you feel this energy, and you feel this authenticity and this immediate uplift. His energy is so awesome. And I knew the moment I met him that I wanted to continue the conversation from that brief interaction and learn more about him and his world. And that's what led us to having this conversation around being one decision away. And I'm so thrilled that you're here. This conversation is filled with so much goodness, wisdom, and gems. It might just be one that you listen to a few times. All right, let's get into it. I'm speaking with David Atkins, and we're talking about being one decision away. One decision away from what? I think that's what we're going to find out soon enough. But before we dive into your message that you're super passionate about, David, and I think I only know not so deep layer of your career journey and how you got to be a speaker. So I'd love for you to share, what do you want people to know about you? Share a little bit of your journey in your career, and we could just maybe start with that.
No, I love it. So thank you so much. I'm so excited to be on. Thank you, Tosca. It's an honor to come on and speak to your audience. But a little bit about me. So I'm a retired New York State police captain. I was a New York State trooper for 22 years. And kind of my journey, what took me to where I am today, and I wish I could say it's like 2 seconds, it's not, is that, about 15 years ago, I was with the New York State Police. I was the ranking investigator at the time, which is our detectives. My wife was a school teacher with her master's degree plus 60 credits. We both had good jobs. I was having a great career at that point. I was the first responder on 9/11. I was the New York State Trooper of the Year in 2003. I made Investigator of the Year in 2007. So I always was about striving to be the best I can be. But 15 years ago, my wife and I found ourselves 6 figures in debt. My wife struggled to lose the baby weight. We had 2 daughters going on 3. I'm a girl dad, which I love, but we had 2 daughters going on 3. We were 6 figures in debt. And my wife and I, we were just going through the motions in life, and we would bicker and argue over things like the grocery bills. And I just remember saying, this can't go on like this. My entire life, it's always been about being the best. But if my marriage is struggling, and it wasn't at the point of divorce, Tosca, but it was on the point, we were living parallel lives. This isn't a great path, and something needs to change. And I remember sitting my wife down in this one distinct conversation, not when my kids were running around at 6 o'clock at the bath dinner time. It was 9:30 at night. I remember looking her in the eye, and I had a lot of fear of talking to her about it, but just saying this isn't working. We're 6 figures in debt from just poor choices early in our marriage, credit cards. We both had student loans, right? But just double car payments, a lot of poor decisions early in our marriage. And I just said, this isn't working, and she actually agreed and heard me out at that point. And the first thing we decided to do was to take care of our physical health, because our background, being a trooper, obviously exercise was important to me. I was an ocean lifeguard growing up. she always was working out, but you let life happens, right? So like we were just letting life take us off from the person and people we were and the couple we were. So we said, let's start taking care of our health again. And, we started with a workout program some people may have heard called P90X. I'm sure some of your audience heard, and we did it at 5 a.m. before our kids got up. And I often joke, people like, David, at 5 a.m, I need my 8 hours of sleep. I can't get up that early. I'm like, I don't know, sleep 6 hours, sleep faster. You can find time to get your workout in, right? So we did P90X just to get in better shape. And what started happening, which I'm a big believer now, the byproduct of feeling good and being less stressed and having more energy was happening, and I like to say common sense isn't always common practice, because people are probably like, of course I know I need to exercise. People know it's common sense, but most don't. But when we did that, it started improving the way we handled stress and the busyness of life and kids. We were getting in great shape.
Okay, wait. I wanna pause because you have just covered I'm just like, wow, right? Like I can't wait to get into like, okay, dot. I want to continue that story because you shared so much just within that, And first of all, thank you for your service, first and foremost. What was it? I don't know if you remember where you were like, gosh, something has to change. I mean, you talked about some of the circumstantial things that were happening. You're like, ooh, I don't like this debt. And ooh, like we're living parallel lives, but are we really connected in terms of you and your wife? Like, was there anything that helped you have that moment of like, I really want change?
I think it was when I realized that we were arguing over things as minuscule as grocery bills for the kids. Like, and I shared that because that sticks out to me. In our first house, it was a 1-bedroom home. Literally, who does that? I wish my parents said, don't buy a 1-bedroom home. We bought a 1-bedroom home, our first home, which we struggled to sell. But we had a 1-bedroom home with a loft that we turned into like a second bedroom. But I had a desk in the hallway and I would do the bills there. And I can vividly see when I would do the bills, like twice a month, the arguments and bickering we would have over like nonsense. Like, I'm like, this can't be. She makes 6 figures I make 6 figures. Why are we in this position? And it's that thing of you make more, you spend more. And we were exactly that. We bought things that we shouldn't have bought. We charged everything on the credit cards. We were not saving money. And it just kind of like jarred me. Like it was that moment like, all right, something needs to change here. Like this isn't working. We have 2 healthy daughters. We used to be people in great shape. We have 2 great careers. And I think it was just a light bulb moment. Like, all right, it's time to like, let's sit this out. And the big thing was, Tosca, was not to talk to her during the chaos of life. Right. And that's why I said not at 5:30 when our kids are running around or it's bath time and it's crazy time. It was like, I need to be able to look her in the eye, have a heart to heart so that she can hear me out. I can hear her out. We're not doing it in a state of stress or we're running low on time, running out the door. So I'll never forget that conversation. I just think it was, I got sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Ooh, I love that you share all of that. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I've said that before. Like sometimes we just get sick and tired of being sick and tired, and that's what it is. And so it can be a great thing to have that. Like, oh man, what I really love too is so many people get into these financial situations, and there's a lot of shame around this. With folks. I think it's hard to see that anything else is possible when you're in those types of situations. And that's another big reason why I'm so excited that you're here, because I think people need to hear, like, how did you do it? What happened? Like, and
Right.
what I'm hearing in that decision to have a conversation with your wife is like that. I'm hearing that it was something that was a little bit you were nervous about or you were worried about. And obviously you pick what's going to set me up for success, which is something that I also talk about, right? Which is like,
Yeah.
are we having this serious big conversation while the kids are running around and like we can't really pay attention? Or, right? Have you planned it at a time where like it's the best shot of getting your message across? So,
but that's a good point, though. And Tasca, to mention that it's often the uncomfortable feeling, whether you should do something or not, that is the sign that you need to lean into that. My friend Moira Casaba talks about listen to the whispers. And for me at the time, it was my gut saying, I need to do this. And yes, there was fear and self-doubt. What if she thinks everything's fine? What if she thinks, no, this is the norm. This is, we're going through, our kids are little, they're toddlers. This is the way it's going to be. Like I had that fear, but that edge And when it comes to growth, Brendan Burchard calls it the performance edge. That's how he defines it. When you're growing in, say, your career or success. For me at that point, like that little uncomfortable butterfly feeling was the whisper, like I needed to lean into that.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Listening to your body. One of the
Yeah.
recent episodes I've done was about our inner critics, and especially the ones that tell us what we should eat, what we shouldn't eat, the food inner critic.
Mm.
And part of what I talk about there was like that really listening to your body can unlock so much because
Yeah,
we want to
totally.
bury it. So I love that you're sharing that too. I feel so like, validated. But the other
Totally.
piece I think is that especially in this world that we live in terms of perceptions around how men feel versus women about being vulnerable and saying, hey, this is how I feel. And what I'm hearing you say is like, gosh, what if she didn't feel the same way and what would happen? And I just want to give that space because I think that sometimes it's easy to forget, like, we all have these feelings. We all have these fears. It's a universal human thing. Like, am I going to be
Yeah.
heard? Am I going to be seen? Is this idea going to be rejected? And what if it is? What if she's okay with this life being this
Right.
way when I have butterflies and like I'm hating this right now? So I just want to
Right.
say that like sometimes we forget that this is just common human stuff about having a difficult conversation. It goes both ways.
Absolutely. And I think the thing is, this is the reality, and this is what people live in. They compare their everyday life to the highlight reel they see on social media, period. And everybody struggles. And people out there put this persona on that thing is perfect. It is not. People are struggling. How often do all of a sudden you hear about a couple, you think everything's going great, and next thing you know, they're getting divorced, right?
Right.
People aren't willing to share. But through my growth, I know we haven't went through the whole thing, I realized that, except for one tiny speck on this earth, the world's made up of people other than you and I. And if I can be vulnerable to make a bigger impact to the people out in the audience by sharing my struggles, then that's my goal. And as hard as it is, as you grow in your mindset, you learn to not care what other people think. And I don't. Early on, it was hard. Like there'll be critics when I started doing the at-home workout program, which led to the business, and we'll get into. There were everybody, and your family usually are the ones that are the worst critics. That's not going to work. Why are you wasting your time? They're the harshest critics. But this is the rule of thumb I learned once. I read it somewhere. Somebody told me, and I'll share it with you. And you may have heard it, is never take constructive criticism or any criticism from anybody that's less successful than you. So I have learned now that all the people that I look up to that have helped me in my career would have never told me not to pursue being a speaker or writing a book because they've done it. They're the ones go for it. It's all the other people that sit there that haven't done it before that are going to tell you it doesn't work. Right?
Ooh,
So it's
mic
just,
drop.
yeah.
Mic drop. I literally, it's just so funny you talk about this because I literally had this conversation with somebody that was just throwing all the projections and limiting beliefs at me about
Yeah.
this path I'm on. And gosh, yeah, it rocked me because it was like that, as my friend put it, that shadow doubt that I still have, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it just knocked me. And it was like, you have to come back and be like, why am I listening to this person, right?
Right.
Who actually hasn't done the thing that I'm saying I'm on the path to do. So yeah, so I love that, right? Like it's just to really pay attention to who you're paying attention to and
Yes.
course correct if you're listening to the folks that, right, you don't respect or that haven't gotten to the places that you can aspire to. So gosh, sometimes we can't ever hear that message enough, I think.
And you have to pay the toll every day. I'm not 100%. I'm guilty of it too at times. I could be speaking at an event and we all know you get great feedback and you get the one negative and then you harp on that. Like our brains are wired to protect us. So like every day it's me paying the toll of making sure I'm reading and listening to something positive, my personal development, which has been a big part of my life, doing it every day and paying that toll to keep me aligned with where my focus needs to be because it's very easy to find yourself falling in that trap, in that rut.
I keep saying thank you for sharing that, and because I think there is something, like I see what you're doing online and I see, and you stand up on those stages and you were just like killing the game and you're so passionate about your message and you're here for this reason to share these messages and yet you still have that inner critic and you still have to like clear out the crap and find the inner cheerleader within you. And I think that again, I like to say, this is for everybody. For the gentleman listening, I hope it's very validating to say, yeah, like this is what it is. And there's a way out of any downward self-doubt spiral.
Totally.
Okay, so here you are. You have this difficult conversation. Your wife is totally on board. She's like, yes, I want things to change. And you start with your health. You start with the workout. Like, how do I feel better in my body? And then people start asking you, oh my gosh, how you look so svelte. What happened? What'd you do? Okay, so like walk us through what happened then.
Yep. So then people were asking us, and we didn't know about that there was really a business. We would just send them, P90X, go buy it. But then we started seeing like online of this coach opportunity. They call them coaches, but it was a network marketing company, direct sales, multi-level marketing, which 98% of the people, when we saw it and said, maybe we should do that, all said it's a pyramid scheme. It's not going to work. That stuff is garbage. Like the overwhelming majority said, don't even do it. Why waste your time? But again, it was me saying, you know what? But what if it does work? We're also focused on it may not work. What if it does? Like always focusing on the negative, right? I just had that vision again, which was part of my life through my career at the state police and one of the things I kind of hit on my pillars when I speak is vision and just casting the vision. Like if I believe it and I see it, then why not me? So it was like, you know what? I think I'm going to give this business a try. And I'm going to go all in and I'm going to do it at night. And I had to have an agreement with my wife. That was another thing because like she started catching me. I was always on my phone all day when I wasn't working at the state police. So we came with an agreement like, hey, after the kids go to bed, after their baths, 8:00 at night, you can work the business. So I hustled from 8 to 11:30 at night. And after about 6 months, my wife, Kristen, joined along in the business. And in 2 years, we paid off the 6 figures in debt and the business just grew. And then we became cumulatively, another year or 2 years later, a couple years later, we became $1 million earners in the company. And then that decision, what started happening is Beachbody, which was the powering company, recognized this success and were like, hey, can you share your story at our quarterly events? They were called Super Saturdays. And it was the first time, and this was 13 years ago, and it started in a library, Tosca, like I remember 17 people I counted. They said, can you share your story? And it was like me talking for 5 or 6 minutes, just, I'm a state trooper. I built this business. I have 3 kids now. How did you do it? And it was a short story. And then it turned from 17 people to 100 to 500 to 1,000, more and more time. And then I'm speaking to 20,000 people in the NFL Superdome. And I feel in that journey as a man of faith, I like to say God revealed to me a gift I didn't know I had because it naturally happened. Like I was naturally able to get up on stage, not have anything on cards written down, off the cuff, and just speak from the heart. And it just flowed. Like I got in this zone. But after like the 20,000 person event, there were executives like, David, you have a gift. Have you ever thought of being a keynote speaker? I'm like, a keynote speaker? Like I'm a captain now. I run the entire county with the state police. I have 3 daughters. I have a business. Our team at that point for our Beachbody business, we led an international team of 1,400 people. So we had I'm like, no, like I can't fit anything more on my plate, right? But I like to say I fueled my faith and starved my fears. And I took that leap of faith in 2021 and I retired after 22 years. Again, when everybody told me not to do it. And like the underlying theme was the overwhelming majority said, you're crazy. You're going to be a speaker. How are you going to do that? Or you're going to do this, pyramid scheme business. But I made the one decision, my thing, and said, no, I'm going to go for it. And when I retired, guess what happened that year? It was COVID. There were no events.
Wait. Okay, so hold on. I gotta slow you down one more time. I'm loving this. So the phrase that really stood out for me is like that I have to starve my fears.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit more about how the hell do you do that? And I'm going to take copious notes because that is what holds people back is that fear front and center. What did you do?
Yeah, so a couple things. One is like my why for giving my daughters. Like you have to have a why in your life and it's got to be bigger than yourself. Because if it's just about for yourself at a certain point in life, you're going to hit something that's a lot tougher than you and you will quit if you don't have a driving force for why you do what you do. And for me, giving the best life for my 3 daughters and my wife was my why, right? And during this journey, Tosca, I think it's important to mention my best friend was shot and killed in the line of duty as a New York State trooper. And that happened in 2007. And it was before I started Beachbody. But what it did for my trajectory in my life is, I always say, life doesn't always fire a warning shot. And so often when it comes to our goals and our dreams and the things we want to do, we often talk about, we'll do it when we have more time, right? Or we're less busy, or next week, or like this time of year when my kids get out of school. And my thing is, you may not be here tomorrow. Every day is a gift and a blessing, and it's what you do with today that matters. So for me, like, it was, I built this business potential. I have people that are breathing life, higher people, more successful, high executives are saying, you have a gift. And then in my mind goes that thing of struggles less painful than regret. I don't want to be 75 and looking back and saying, I have this gift that I feel was revealed to me by me just starting with the conversation with my wife that moved forward, because I don't want to regret because I don't go after that. So like for me, like, how do I overcome the fear? It's number one is losing my best friend. I realize every day is a gift and to make it the best it can be. Number two is I had the why of my daughters. And number three that I speak about and I mentioned, like, we all have fear. I have fear. No matter how many times I get up on stage, yesterday's event in front of 800 people in a gigantic room, like, you always have butterflies and fear, but there's one word. If we all can have a little bit of courage, all it takes a little bit of courage to lean into that fear. And the more you do it, the more you know when it's time to take that decision and make that step forward. So like all of these things I've shared, I've always had fear, but like, as Brendan Bouchard said, that's the performance edge. Like when I was there, it was like, David, what you're feeling, you're in the exact spot you need to be. And this is your sign to lean into that, to take that leap of faith. So that was the biggest leap, because I was on the verge of probably getting promoted to major, the next rank. I had an amazing career. I loved the state police. I miss the people every day. I have nothing negative to say about the New York State Police. It was the best job and career I had, but I felt that calling to a bigger purpose and I had to follow that. So that was me with all the fear and self-doubt, leaning into that feeling for my why, for every day is a blessing, and just going for it.
Oh man, wow. What a beautiful message. And I'm so sorry about your friend and
Thank you.
the message that you got from that and how that has even his gift to you of how you've lived your life since then.
Right.
I think it's like Brene Brown, right? That says like 10 seconds of courage or something. Maybe I'm misquoting, but like, right? Like all you need is 10 seconds of like just pushing through that fear and doing that thing anyway. It's like picking up the phone and calling that person, or it's, sending that email saying, hey, like, this is what I'm looking for, or whatever that thing is, of get through those 10 seconds and do it anyway. And and I'm not going to remember exactly how you said it, but this idea of the regret being harder to deal with than
struggle.
Yeah, then struggle.
Yes. Than regret.
Yes.
I mean, that's totally it, and that's why even now, like, I'm always setting goals. I'm always trying to move forward because I don't want to ever look back and say like, oh, I wish I did this or I wish I did that. Because Gary Vaynerchuk, I once heard, he looked in, there was a study done. He shared this story where people were interviewed at nursing homes about their life and what they thought of their life and if they have any advice for the younger generations. And it often started with, I wish. I wish I did this. I wish I did that. And I'll never forget when I heard him share that, I'm like, whoa. So you take that, I pair it with how fragile life is, right? And we've all had people that maybe lost life too early from cancer. We all know somebody, but it's just like through my best friend, realizing like I feel that calling to a higher purpose, like that, those are the signs to move forward. Yeah, there's just so much. And I think that I'm a big believer, because it's been the pattern of my life, that life will reveal to you whatever you believe in, life or your faith, the universe or God will reveal to you what you need to do next if you want to make the one decision with what's in front of you. And here's my point. I would not be on this podcast with you if I didn't make the one decision to talk to my wife, right? And it doesn't mean like if you make that decision to speak to your spouse, that's only going to open up other parts of your life when it comes to marriage and relationship. No, my conversation with my life led to a fitness program, which led to a business, which led to a gift of speaking, which led to writing books because I spoke to my wife. So there's something pressing in everybody's life right now, and it's different for everybody. For some, maybe it is their relationship. For some, maybe it's to take care of their fitness. Maybe for some, it's to finally go after that promotion at work and go for it. Or some, it's, you know what, I have this side business, or I want to build this shop, or I don't know what it is, but we all have gifts. Your gifts are the things you do best with the least amount of effort. And when I realized that speaking was a gift I had because it doesn't take the effort, like, you have to follow. But if you're willing, there's something in your life right now, everybody has, that's pressing in their life. If you're willing to make that one decision today, don't worry about 3 weeks, 3 months, 3 years from now. Life will reveal to you what comes next if you're willing to make that one pressing decision in your life today. And everybody has one.
All right, I want to give you a moment to pause here and hear a message from one of my generous sponsors. One of the things I do here on the Unlock Lab is to help you get to know yourself better. And one aspect of this is understanding how your energy works. And that's why I love this tool called Human Design. It helps you understand your energetic blueprint so you can come back home to yourself. If you'd like to learn more about your unique energetic signature, my friend Holly is the founder of Human Design by Holly. And you can go to humandesignbyholly.com, that's with 2 L's, to download your free chart to find out which of the 5 human design types you are. And just like with astrology, you'll need your birth date, place, and time. You can also visit her website to book a one-on-one reading. These unique readings will help you understand your personal energetic signature, uncover your best strategy for making decisions, and find more self-acceptance. I highly encourage you to check this out if it calls to you. Unlock Lab listeners will get 25% off when booking your first reading. Use the code UNLOCKLAB, one word, all caps, when booking at humandesignbyholly.com to unlock your discount. For all the links and code, please see the episode show notes. All right, now let's get back to the episode. When you are that one decision away and you make that one decision, finish that sentence for me, like you're one decision away from ...
A completely different life.
Mm-hmm.
One decision can change everything.
Yeah.
And this isn't like my opinion. It's been the trajectory of my life. And just studying other people, like it's been the same. Michael Jordan, right? Here's an example I mentioned in my book. Like, he gets cut from his varsity basketball team, but he made the one decision to keep going. Look what it turned out to him, right? You have, J.K. Rowling that wrote all the books, right? With the books, Harry Potter. Like, so many people were against her, but she kept writing, and she had all these publishers said no, and she just kept making that one decision. And then look where it took her. Walt Disney, same thing. Everybody told him no. Everybody told him no. And then it was him and his brother that decided to make the cartoon on their own. Like, Jim Carrey wrote a check out to himself for millions of dollars, right, in advance. And then all of a sudden he got Dumb and Dumber, because if you have that vision, you believe in yourself, and you want to make that one decision can change everything. And you only need to believe in yourself, right? That's it. That's the only person. If you believe it and it's in your imagination, it was put there for a reason. It's your goal. It's your dreams. It's not your mom's, your dad's, or other people telling you what you should do. You have to follow your heart and your gut.
Oh, I so love this, because we can be so overwhelmed by what we want. Sometimes we have no idea, right? And it's just following that, like you said earlier, the whisper, the body sign, the butterfly, follow that, take the leap, that courage to push through that. And sometimes the vision is so big that we just get overwhelmed with, well, how the hell? And you're just saying, just make it about this one next immediate decision. And then that next decision. And I love that, because I'm always saying micro step. I kind of say take the micro step, right? It doesn't have to be this like master plan, the 12 point.
Never is.
But it's funny because you also talk about, you had this plan with the business. Like, I feel like you're also a planner, but you're also like, I don't know, tell me if I'm wrong, but I hear you're strategic, and you're like, I've got this. And you're also like, what is this next thing? And my sense is you listen to just in the moment too. Like, I feel like you have both of those skill sets.
Big time. I follow the intuition in your gut. You know what I'm saying? And your gut is your second brain. It's the enteric nervous system. Like, that's there. So when it came to whether writing my first book or second book, it was kind of like it always starts off with having the vision of what I think I need to do next,
Mm.
right? And then from there, it's then reverse engineering. I love this term. What I need to do each month, and then what I need to do each week, and then each day to reach that goal.
Mm.
Because so often we get paralysis of analysis, right? So, in the easiest terms, like if you want to lose weight and get fit, don't worry about how am I going to lose 30 pounds tomorrow. Figure out, like, all right, I need to probably exercise 12, 15 times this month, which means I need to exercise 3 or 4 days a week. All right, this week, let me look at my schedule it in like it's a doctor's appointment. I need to exercise Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. And then every day you have a plan that leads towards the week, which leads towards the month. And I call it the yearly banner goal by reverse engineering
Mm.
it. But there's always something I'm trying to work towards. And sometimes you may not feel it right away. Like my second book did not, people are asking me, are you going to write another book? And I'm like, no, I think I'm good right now. The leveled up life, I'm good. And this is a big thing. It was on stage when
Mm.
I didn't realize I was saying, stop overcomplicating your life. Make the decision. There's something in your life right now. Make the one decision. And then on my book signing line, people were like, David, I got it. One decision. I need to make the one decision. And I kind of was like, that's interesting. Sign the books. Next event, a couple weeks later, I was doing it again, not realizing. And people were like, David, I got to make the one decision. And it was like the light bulb, like, boom, it's stuck one decision away. And that's kind of how that was when life, again, I feel like revealed, here's something. And then I had that uncomfortable feeling going, oh man, I think I'm on to something. And I literally changed the title of my keynote from No Excuses to One Decision Away. And then it stuck. Why? Because I listened to my audience. I listened to what the people need. And not to me, because except for one tiny speck in this world, the world is made up of people other than you and I, right? So, like, I realized, all right, this is a sign. People are picking this up. Let me lean into this. So, yes, I am definitely a visionary. But then when I break it down, I'm a planner of what I need to do strategically to reach the goal.
Yes. And there's two things that come to mind. And one of them is like that you were cognizant and conscious enough to receive the messages, to be able to truly listen to the feedback and hear it and let it in. Because I think a lot of people actually are putting up walls of self-protection or they're blocking themselves from the receiving. And that receiving might look like the feedback that you got. It might look like something else. It might like that
Right.
thing that you keep hearing about what you're super good at, but you dismiss it because it just comes so
Mm,
naturally. Or
totally.
it could be the invitation that you just dismiss because you're like, they want something from me, and you're telling yourself a story versus, oh, actually, this is a legit, honest invite. And maybe I should say yes to see what's possible.
Yeah.
So I love that that was part of it is just being able to receive outside of
Hmm.
yourself. You talk a lot about just honoring your gut and your intuition and your instincts. And I can't help but think about what you had to do in your career as a cop. And I'm
Yeah.
curious how you feel like that experience and that stage of your career supported you in really paying attention to your body and what it had to offer you in what I'm assuming are probably several life and death situations that you've had to face. And how do you think that's contributed to you, the way you live your life in general?
No, I mean, I realized how fragile life is, right? And I think that in your heart and your gut when it's time to move on. Like for me, I loved the state police. It was an amazing career. But for me, when I was weighing whether or not I should retire,
Mm.
vividly remember I was driving to work to my office. And I said, all right, let me have a list of pros and cons of
Mm.
all the reasons why I should or should not retire. And somebody can use this with their life right now. If you are in a career or thing that you're not happy with or you hate, do a list of pros and cons, put in the work, and you'll be very surprised. And for me, when I listed all of the reasons with the pros and cons, I came down to only one reason that I said I wanted to stay. That was it. All the things were go for speaking, go for this. I accomplished here everything I wanted to in the state police. I had an amazing career. And the only thing that kept me back was I didn't want to leave the people because the
Mm.
camaraderie of the brothers and sisters and friendships I developed that would put their life on the line for you and the joking and the laughing every day we would do, there was no better camaraderie than the law enforcement group. But what struck me at that time, and here's my point, whether I stayed and left at 22 years, or I stayed to 30 years, at some point, we all in law enforcement need to leave the people.
Mm.
And I realized when that was the only thing, then it was time to go because it was inevitable that I would have to face that. It wasn't like, you know what, David, you have unfinished business. Like
Mm.
you shouldn't get the rank of major because you want to go here. I knew that if I got promoted, there was a good chance I was going to be sent because being the state police, it could be anywhere in the state.
Mm.
And there was a point when I made lieutenant, I was sent 5 hours away in Buffalo, New York. And it was so hard on my family because I had to live there. And I made a point to say I'll never leave my family again for a promotion. So I knew if I got promoted again, there's a good chance I would be in Albany, which is 2 hours away. And I can commute 2 hours each way every day, but it's a grind. Most of the people that do it, they'll stay there a couple nights a week. And I'm just like,
Mm.
I didn't have any unfinished business. Like I said, I was a first responder on 9/11. I ran undercover units. I did detective and homicide work. I've had death threats put on me. Like I was done. And the only thing that didn't want me to go was leaving those people, Tosca. So that's when I knew, all right, that's it. It's time to go. And it was hard. But again, I leaned into it. I leaned into, fueled my faith, started my fears, and went into this world of speaking that I knew nothing about other than I was doing it for 10 years for free in front of thousands of people. And I felt like when you love what you do, and I loved it. And that's another thing. When you love what you do, you will push through hard
Mm.
times. So if you're in a place that you don't love what you do or a career, the reason probably you're not getting to the level you want is because when it gets hard, you don't love it. So you're not going to push through hard times. I love to go out and pour into people and speak on stage and do this. That's why as hard as this business is now, I push through those hard times. Why? Because you have to love what you do.
Mm.
And the love for law enforcement, I loved it, but it became more of a job. And I realized like my job was done. I served the state, I did a lot, and I was looking for a bigger calling. And that's kind of
Yes.
where I am.
I love that. And I think that to have no unfinished business is an amazing place to be.
Mm,
And I find that with the folks that I work with, a lot of times what happens is that they haven't done the hard things with where they are, right? Which is
mm,
usually that inner work, usually that work of like, how are you showing up? What are you carrying with you from the past? And
mm,
so when they leave the thing, it's often running because there actually is unfinished business. And that unfinished
mm.
business is using that environment to experiment and say, how can I show up better here so that when I do leave, because yes, maybe it's also time to leave, but when I do leave, I've had some practice at doing things differently so I don't repeat my patterns.
Yeah, totally.
I think that the mistake that people make is they don't realize there's actually still some things you can do with where you are and look at it differently and show up differently. At the same time, in parallel, you're like, and I'm ready to move on.
Totally. I think it goes down to that could be a pressing decision that you could be in a place that you're in the career you want to be, but you're not taking it to that. You're stuck in third gear, as I like to say,
Mm,
right? Die on E, die on empty. So there's probably, if you want to go to another level in your career, like that maybe is the one decision you need to make because you don't know where it's going to take you. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Listen, I'm a big believer in people's hearts, deep in their gut. They know what they need to do.
yeah.
You got to listen to your gut. I knew in my deepest root of my gut that I was done with the state police. Not done like I'm fed up with them. Done like my business was done, and I was just a matter of leaving the people. Like I had to follow my heart and follow your gut. And looking back, like it's never steered me wrong. It's never steered me wrong. You may go through something in your life and it doesn't make sense and the challenges you're going through, but looking back, you always say, "Oh, that makes sense why that happened." You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I'm a big believer in that, but you just got to follow your gut.
Yeah. And it's so scary because, it's
Yeah.
funny because on the one hand, you're like, okay, what's the pro con list? And hey, this is the thing that I realized, right? Because there's a lot of ways into this, right? There's like, okay, what does that really look like? What is the story you're
Mhm,
telling yourself about that? And then there's also
mhm.
the unexplainable, I gotta go do this thing and it makes no sense. Right. Like,
Yeah.
and there's nothing on the pro list, but there's something that tells me this is where it's at. So it can come
Yeah.
both ways. It can come this rational way, and now you actually looking at it on paper, and now you see the truth. And there's also
Yeah.
like, actually, there's something in my gut that says this is the truth, even though I cannot rationally make sense of
Totally.
it.
That's where faith comes in, Tosca, because
Mm,
faith is the belief in things you cannot see. And when I talk about my one decision away philosophy, the definition I defined it as, it's a choice made in the present moment, backed by courage and faith to move you one step closer to your goals. Because so often, the reason I say faith is so often in life, we, like to your point, you're not going to physically see the thing that you know you need to do. So you have to go on faith. And what's the opposite of faith is fear. And how do you overcome your fear? By having that little bit of courage. So that's why I say it's a choice made in the present moment, backed by courage and faith to move you one step closer to your goals. And like, that's how I define it, because that's how you lead through that tough time.
I mean, mic drop moment right there. I mean, we could just wrap it up right there and have a whole box of chocolates for people. And one of the things that I add too is like this idea of staying on faith. And sometimes we have to stay on that trust and that leap longer than is comfortable, because it's not just, I made the thing. Why isn't it happening now? Right. But it's like the putting in the reps and it's staying the course, because just because it's hard, it doesn't mean it's not for you. I mean, live in this world of instant gratification, and you've been playing
the microwave mentality.
Yeah. And you've been playing the long game, right? Like you had your career in the state police and the climb. You started a business. Right. It sounds like it happened overnight, but 2 years is not overnight. Right. Like you went at it. And now as a speaker, where things aren't landing in your lap because you're part of this other organization, right? You are your organization. Right. So let me ask you this. How you know? I'm getting my own coaching right now. No. How do you know when you're hitting roadblocks or you're hitting the thing and it's like, okay, maybe I'm actually meant to turn left now, or I'm meant to turn right?
So for me, I mean, full transparency, the only time I knew I had to go left or go right was when it was like time to leave the state police. Like, all right, it's time to move on. But I'd never been steered wrong by following my gut and my gut of what I believe in. Yeah. Like, never. It's never steered me wrong. It hasn't steered me wrong in my marriage. It hasn't steered me wrong in fatherhood with my daughters, saying sometimes maybe I need to do this or do that for their protection. It hasn't steered me wrong in business. Even now, like in November, with no notice, Beachbody, the company, the business that we had 15 years, they decided to close the direct sales network marketing part of their company. They're still there, but they closed us down. I lost the business that was a big supplier in my life, and it shut down December 31st. Like, oh my God, that was taken away. And like looking back, I'm like, thank goodness I started speaking when I did, and it's starting to grow, because that was a big income for my family. But here's my point of this. My wife had unfinished business. She was still building. And I was in this stage where I would say more manage my team in Beachbody and grow this business with speaking. And I'm a big believer in John Maxwell. And I think it's important to explain it. John Maxwell talks about the rule of fives. Have you ever heard of this? And the rule of fives is that if you go to a forest and you hit a tree 5 times a day, not 100, just 5 times a day, after you hit it, over maybe 30, 100 days, eventually what will happen to that tree? If you hit it with an axe 5 times a day, it's going to fall, right? He goes, but if you're hitting 100 trees, 1 time a day, like 100 times, at the end of that, you're going to have a scarred forest. And to me, it was like I was trying to balance both. So when this business was taken away and closed down, for me, I took it as a sign going, okay, my wife has unfinished business. She joined a new company, is doing amazing present day, 5 months later, with a company called Shackley. And she's building over there. But guess what it did? It gave me the ability to go, all right, babe, like she's running with that. But now my focus is it's just speaking. And it's just a matter of like, I pivoted. I followed my gut. I realized there was a time when like we were like trying to do both. But everything happens for a reason. Sometimes life doesn't happen to you. It happens for you, I like to say, right?
Yeah.
And it happened for me to be able to do this. So I think my gut has never steered me wrong, but I have had to pivot at times, like with the state police to this. But I think it's just following your heart and leaning into what you know is right. Everybody knows what's right.
Yeah. I mean, I love that you're just like, trust yourself, honor yourself. You said earlier, right? Believe in yourself. And I'm curious what you have to say to the listener right now who's struggling with trusting themselves, or even struggling to listen to themselves. We have so much noise and distraction, and it's like, oh, what's mine versus actually What am I hearing from other people, or, those conditioned things that are deep within us? What do you do, or have you ever had to really take a concerted effort to say, what am I telling myself right now to cut through the noise of what's not yours?
Yeah, that's a great question. I like to say, and listen, I'll say it twice and I'll say it slow: work with what you have with where you are, because what you have is plenty. And I'll say it: work with what you have with where you are. What you have is plenty, because it's so easy to get caught up with the outside noise on social media and the news and the negativity and all of that stuff. But I'm a big believer, like, what you have in front of you is plenty and you know what you need to do. For me, I'm a big believer, like, what good is it if you are a public success and a private failure?
Mm.
What good is it if you are killing the game in your career but your home life is a mess? Like, for me, it was just as important that I was a great state trooper as I was a great husband to my wife and father to my daughters, because they're all in synergy. And if your home life's a mess, it's going to impact your career. So whatever it is, like right now in your life, if the immediate things around you, right, around you, whether it's your home, whether it's your kids, if you live by yourself, if it's taking care of yourself, self-care, it's not selfish, it's selfless, because the people around you deserve the best of you, not what's left of
Mm.
you, right? So, like, for me, it was like, all right, my wife and I, we need to take care of our health first so that we're better for each other, better for our kids. And that was taking care of the home life first. And then once we
Mm.
took care of that, guess what happened? Then it carried over to our relationship, to a business, to our career. It starts with inner self. It starts with work with what you have, with where you are, because what you have is plenty. So it's a matter of looking in the mirror and being able to self audit yourself and not play victim mentality and not blame the circumstances of your life out there. Because listen, you cannot control what happens to you in the outside world, but you know what you can control? How you react.
Mm.
Your attitude is a choice. How you show up is a choice. What you do is a choice. So if you're blaming COVID, or you're blaming the economy, or no matter what side of the political fence you're on, you're blaming the president last couple of years or this president, listen, you can't control that, but you can control how you show up as a human being every single day. Control the controllables. How I would kind of end that.
Yes, yes. And I'm gonna put an exclamation point on basically what you're saying. The way that I'm
Yeah.
interpreting it, right? Which is that, for example, like, people come to me because they want that career breakthrough, right? They're not fulfilled, or they're stuck, or they have a crappy manager, and they're just like, right, they're in that downward spiral of self doubt. And then I explain, this is how I do what I do. And then we get in and we start the work, and, like, we're talking about personal things, right? We're not talking about how do I, get
Yeah.
my manager to like, no, it
Right. Right. It's like
always,
therapy.
yeah, yes. Well, that's what people say all the time. It feels like therapy because we go deep. But what people want is that beeline, right? It's like, ooh, my career is the problem. Ooh, my finances are the problem. We start there, when actually, when we start with our internal world, when we start with the personal stuff, when we start with our health, when we start with that, that is what unlocks the rest. So and that's how
Totally.
I see it. And because I think that's how you're saying it.
100%.
Yeah.
It starts with yourself.
Yeah.
How many people do you see with their shoulders slumped over, walking around with their head down, that just look miserable?
Right.
Like, it's, oh man, it starts with yourself. If you take care of yourself first, mind, body, soul. Like, for me, my morning routine is religious. There's a reason why I don't do calls before like 9:30 in the morning. Like, I wake up, I do personal development, I work on gratitude, I do prayer, I do all this mindset work for an hour, 45 minutes, and then meditation's in there, and then I exercise, and then it's time to do what I need to do for the day. Because most people, they wake up and they automatically look at this,
Right.
right? This phone, for those that are listening, your phone. And you know what? This phone, your notifications, your inbox is somebody else's agenda.
Mm.
And if you wake up in the morning and that's the first thing you go to, guess what? You are immediately in reactive mode all day. You go down the rabbit hole of your notifications. I so much even shut off all notification sounds and banners. My phone, like, even look, it's hard to see, but my phone right now is only a picture of my family.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all that's there. I know there's stuff there, but people, like, they have the banners, the notifications. It's a distraction. So that's to your point. You have to take care of yourself first. And then you are, and I said it earlier, you're the best version of yourself for those people that you care about the most. Whether it's your kids, your significant other, your coworkers, your family, whatever it is, When you take care of yourself first, guess what? Everybody else around you benefits in a more positive way. And also, your other areas of your life are also going to be positively impacted.
You heard it from David Atkins, preacher, teacher, speaker, right here, right now. You're only one decision away from changing your life. And
Yes.
thank you so
Yes.
much for all that
You're
you have
welcome.
shared. Like, I feel so much lighter and brighter just from being in your presence and yeah, hearing you preach and mic drop and truth bombs and all of that. So before we kind of share with people where to find you and how to buy your book and
Yeah.
all the things, is there anything that we didn't cover that you feel like, man, I just want to say this thing, we didn't talk about it?
No, I think there's a decision in your audience right now in this moment today that they can make. And at the end of every time I speak, I now have people write. I have post-it notes that they get that are on the tables, and they write the one decision I'm going to make today is,
Mm.
and I make them write it down and they stick it up on whether a banner or a wall because there's something right now that whoever's listening, a decision that you can make right now that could change your life. So I just make the decision, stop waiting.
Mm.
That's it.
Oh my gosh. I love that. I got chills when you said that. I'm totally going to do that. What do you want the audience to know about how they can reach you, about your book, about all the things that they're just like, I need more David in my life?
No, thank you. So the week of July 15th, my second book, The One Decision Away Philosophy, comes out. And guys, I break it down, like we kind of dove into it a little bit. When I put this book together and I kind of brain dumped all of the things I want to speak about, I noticed like two distinct things. These are all the obstacles you're going to face when you need to make the one decision, as we spoke about fear being one of them. And then I realized these are all the solutions of how the tools to apply them. So my book is broken up in two parts. Like these are the obstacles, like that I talk about, and it's okay to feel them. And these are the tools. So the book is The One Decision Away Philosophy with calls to actions, coming out July 15th. I am going to be having a ton of prizes and giveaways by buying the book that week. If you go to my website, it's David Atkins Speaks. So David, David Atkins, Atkins Speaks, SPEAKS.com. David Atkins Speaks. There will be a link for the book, and I'm going to have prizes like Amazon gift card giveaways, probably $100 gift cards. We're going to have a walking pad. We're going to have a sports nutrition bundle. We're going to have all these prizes that if you buy a book from the link on my website, which will go to Amazon, and you submit your entry, you will be put in a raffle for these prizes. And you will also automatically get an email from me with a digital gift of like a PDF workbook type thing that's going to come right to you right away for my book. So there's so much to gain that week with prizes and freebies by just buying. So I'd love to get your support. And you can find me also on Instagram and LinkedIn. You just type my name in. But yes, davidatkinspeaks.com, July 15th is launch day. And so you have to do the order. I forgot, July 15th to 20th.
Okay.
I forgot my editor would tell me. So to be in the prizes and get the free stuff, you have to order in that window just in those first couple of days.
Oh, yeah. I'm like totally marking my calendar for that. And this episode will be coming out on the 15th. So folks will have a full 5 days. And all these links that you just mentioned are going to be in the show notes. So if you're like driving and you couldn't catch it, don't worry. Check the show notes out. I wish you the very best.
Thank you
My
so much.
blessing and prayer for you is for this to open the doors, the abundance, the prosperity, the joy, the fulfillment that you seek in your life by sharing your gift and your messages with the world. And thank you for spending time here on the Unlock Lab to inspire this audience. And I'm blessed to know you. And I am so excited for our continued friendship and what's coming down the pike.
Yes. Thank you so much. It was such an honor and grateful for you as well. Thank you.
Thank you. This episode was sponsored by Tosca Coaching and Consulting. If you are in need of motivating your team, if you are looking for inspiring and practical content for your next event, visit CoachTosca.com. That's CoachTosca.com and learn more about Tosca DiMatteo, myself, and how I can support you with your business needs and with your personal growth and professional breakthrough goals.